Want to bring you that breaking news and return to the fact that Sky News understands that the FA is to ban transgender women from women's football from next season, following a similar move by the Scottish FA. Well, Rob Harris, our sports correspondent, joins us on the phone. Rob, what can you tell us?
Dated its guidelines to provide itself with scope to prevent transgender women from competing in women's football on a case-by-case basis. But then came this Supreme Court ruling that biological sex defined whether you were a female, and now we have had this updated FA decision. Sky News did learn that the Football Association is banning transgender women from women's football from next season, and now we have actually had a statement confirming this. It does read, as the governing body of the national sport, our role is to make football accessible to as many people as possible, operating within the law and international football policy defined by UEFA and FIFA. It goes on to talk about how the current position was supported by expert legal advice. It talks about it being a complex subject, and said that the position was always potentially going to change if there was anything that impacted it. Well, the statement says the Supreme Court's ruling on April the 16th means that we will be changing our policy. Transgender women will no longer be able to play in women's football in England, and this policy will be implemented from the 1st of June. The statement from the FA concludes, we understand that this will be difficult for people who simply want to play the game they love and the gender by which they identify, and we are contacting the registered transgender women currently playing to explain the changes and how they can continue to stay involved in the game. That's how the FA statement concludes. Now, we do understand there are no transgender women playing professionally in the English women's game, but it is believed there are around 20 transgender women playing in the amateur and grassroots game. And just days ago, the Scottish Football Association, Sky News learned, was also implementing a similar ban on transgender women competing in women's football. At a global level, the FA has been waiting on FIFA to come to a decision, but their review has been ongoing for 3 years. They've not had any guidance, but clearly influenced by this Supreme Court ruling. Now, there will be those transgender players who will feel increasingly marginalised and discriminated against potentially and excluded from the game, but then there are others who believe there are issues in terms of the physical advantages that are gained by going through male puberty, which provides sporting fairness and safety.
Just lost Rob Harris there, our sports correspondent Rob Harris there. But let me just remind you of that FA statement saying that as the governing body of national football, of national sport, our role is to make football accessible to as many people as possible, operating within the law and international football policy defined by UEFA and FIFA. Our current policy, which allows transgender women to participate in women's game based on this principle, supported by expert legal advice. Complex subject, our position's always been that if there was material change in law, science, or the operation of the policy in grassroots football, we would review it and change it if necessary. Going on to add, the Supreme Court's ruling on the 16th of April means we will be changing our policy. Transgender women, the FA says, will no longer be able to play in women's football in England, and the policy will be implemented from June 2025, the 1st of June this year. We understand that this will be difficult for people who simply want to play the game they love in the gender by which they identify. We are contacting the registered transgender women currently playing to explain the changes and how they can continue to stay involved in the game. That statement there from the FA following that Supreme Court ruling, and also following similar moves by the Scottish FA.